Maneva na sema PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de osia dem yopo.
You are once again welcome to PENDREAM TV, the only channel that brings you the best and latest updates in politics. If you are new here, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, like and also share to other members to watch as well. Can you equally leave a comment after watching or send us a voice note on our WhatsApp number, it is 0277-128-777. Thank you. I want you to join me listening to what we have for you today.
We're coming to you from our studios in Abelenque 48 Sonica Street here in Accra. We're live on Facebook at Pan African Television, live on YouTube at Pan African Television, as well as 48 African countries. You can join in the conversation by sending in your views, comments, and contributions on our WhatsApp text line. I'll be reading those messages out for you. Those of you watching us on Facebook can't share the Facebook Live for other people to also watch tonight's edition of the program. My name is Justice Appiah, and tonight on Hot News we are discussing the ministerial appointments made by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana. You know that the President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, promised to appoint 60 ministers to oversee the affairs of the country before his election to power. Now, the President so far has appointed 42 ministers with 18 remaining. All things being equal, he has appointed 26 ministers of state and 16 regional ministers. No deputy ministers have been appointed yet. But let me bring you a breakdown of, the appointments he made so far. So as I said earlier, he promised to appoint 60 ministers. As to whether that is feasible, we will delve into deeper. We will delve deeper into that later on the show. He has appointed 42 so far, and then 18 remaining. That's we are going according to the 60 ministers he said he will be appointing. Out of the 42, he has appointed 16 regional ministers and then 26 ministers of state. Now, there's an analysis on the ministerial appointment which focus on MPs, at least 31 ministers expected to come from Parliament, all things being equal. So we are out of the 60, we are looking at 31 coming from Parliament. I'll quote a portion of the Constitution where that is actually indicated. Now, 24 out of the 42 are members of Parliament. They are appointments made, from Parliament. 24 out of the 42. So we are expecting some more, from Parliament and stuff like that. Mind you, we are left with 18 more to be appointed. How many is it going to appoint from Parliament and stuff like that? Now, let's look at, the remaining MPs that are likely to be appointed. So what it means is that if he has appointed 24 out of 42 from Parliament and he's supposed to get about 31 from Parliament, then he's left with 7 more to appoint from Parliament. So let's see who would be able to get an appointment, ministerial appointment from Parliament and stuff like that, out of the 18 ministers that are left to be appointed. Well, let's look at what the Constitution says when it comes to appointment of ministers and stuff like that. The 1992 Constitution, Article 78(1) says, ministers of state shall be appointed by the President with the prior approval of Parliament from among members of Parliament or persons qualified to be elected as members of Parliament, except that the majority of ministers of state shall be appointed from among members of Parliament. And so that's the provision which states that majority of appointments must come from Parliament and stuff like that. Now, let's look at gender balance. Out of the 42 ministers appointed, the President has appointed 7 females. 7 females out of 42, which represents 16.67%. And I think that if we are championing gender balance, then that 7 is not enough. If you ask me, 7 is not enough. 7 is just infinitesimal out of the 42 that he has appointed. And but 35 males have been appointed so far, representing 83.33%. So by way of appointment and stuff like that, that is the analysis. The President has promised to appoint 60 ministers. He has appointed 42 so far, remaining 18 ministers. to be appointed. If you look at gender balance, he has appointed 7 out of 42, 7 females out of 42, and 35 males out of the 42. I've been joined in the studio tonight by Honorable Alhjia ABA Fuseini, former member of Parliament for Sagnarigu constituency. He will be helping us to digest this issue properly on the show. Honorable, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, and I hope you permit me because of the sharp lights.
Right.
My eyes are not too busy.
Very well. Very well.
And you have seen dark glasses. Just let me say good evening to your good self.
Right.
To the west of Pan-Africa across the world, your technical people, and then the evergreen Burkina people of the Sagnarigu constituency.
Very well.
I must begin this program with you on the note of recognizing and paying obeisance to Allah Almighty. Justice, we can never thank Allah Almighty enough for the infinite mercies He has shown us in this country. Justice, can you imagine what would have been happening now if the MPP were in power?
What would have been happening?
Yes. Terrible for this country.
Terrible.
Real disaster. The 8 years was already enough. And to have fathomed another 4 years, God of mercy, it would have been a punishment of unprecedented magnitude. But Allah, in His infinite wisdom, wanted Ghanaians to take a lesson on board. And that is why He put us through the 8 years of excruciating hardship under the MPP.
What have you done so far to show that you have the magic wand to turn the fortunes of this country?
But Justice, you can already see the country, even in spite of difficulties that still persist, the country is breathing easy now.
Okay.
The country is, just if you can see it, Ghana is breathing easy today. Many Ghanaians across, millions of Ghanaians, will tell you they are breathing easy. Notwithstanding the fact that difficulties, especially in the economy, still remain. I will be the last person to say that. The president has not yet composed his cabinet, his full regiment of ministers and others. And so the work is starting. But you can already see that the work is in earnest.
Okay.
Okay? So Justice, I start by continuing to give thanks to Allah Almighty for the change that He has brought to this country, for the redemption that He's brought to Ghanaians, and for the hope that He has instilled in Ghanaians that, but inshallah, tomorrow will be better.
Okay.
And from the way that if it will rain, you see it in the clouds. By the grace of Almighty Allah, President Mahama has already hit the ground running. Just as you can go back and do a recall of the past. This is one of the earliest times governments have been formed in the manner that it is going. And so I just hope that with the indulgence of Parliament, because I'm sure that as you read Article 78,
right,
the President has a prerogative to appoint ministers, but there's a prior approval power given to Parliament.
Right.
Without the authority and sanction of Parliament of the appointees, they cannot be ministers. So you just indicated that Article 78, 1 and 2
yes.
indicate that, and it uses the operative word shall.
Yes.
The majority coming from Parliament. Majority could be 31-29. Because in this particular, it says the President has said he's going to appoint 60 ministers. And I want to tell you, without any iota of that, President Mahama is going to walk the talk. When he gives his word to the Ghanaian people that he's going to appoint 60 ministers, it will be 60 ministers and no more.
Are you appointing 60 ministers because that was a campaign promise?
Yes.
Or you're appointing 60 ministers because you think 60 ministers can't do their job?
You know, one of the issues that the previous government decided to do against the will of the Ghanaian people was to operate one of the most expensive, extravagant governments in the history of our country. 100 at a point, Justice, 127 ministers. And the worst of it, look at the output. But the 127 ministers sent us into the abyss from the economy. Never in the annals of our country's history have we reneged on the payment of our debts. Alright?
Right.
With 127 ministers, that was the output. We could not order our both international and domestic obligations. People who had sacrificed their lives to work for this country for 30, 40 years of their lives. Old people, and they were on pension and retirement, were given crude haircuts. In fact, some of them, it came too late. It was not even a haircut. It was a haircut. They cut off their heads, and they died. Truth
be told, do you think that 60 ministers are enough to steer their affairs of it?
Yes, I am saying that President Mahama must have made some assessment that this country at this period needed some extreme level of sacrifice.
Okay.
You needed to show by example, leadership by example. You needed to show that you cannot be preaching austerity and be practicing opulence. So if President Mahama was preaching austerity, he had to show it in his government. So government must first be the instrument to tighten the belt. You cannot ask your people to tighten their belts. When we look on your trousers, it doesn't even have belt hooks to accommodate a belt, let alone to tighten it. So he had to show that example. So that is one of the ways you show that he will be very frugal in his appointments, to cut down on expenditure in government itself. That is the first sign.
And governance, efficiency is key.
Exactly.
Yes. And in an attempt to satisfy a campaign promise, are we not going to have a situation where government would not function properly? Because here's the case, we may have some of the ministries without deputy ministers.
Yes.
How do you expect those ministers to function?
And that's what I'm saying. That will show in the quality of the appointments the president has done. Just take from the very go when the president inherited the government soon after swearing in. There was an emergency on our hands. You saw that the power situation was threatening to even get out of hand, where even the power minister actually diagnosed us at that time he was a nominee. Right. That this country was totally on the brink of, because they had handed over a very unstable situation in the energy sector, and especially the power situation in the country. So you could see in the appointment, I will call them the three super ministers.
Okay.
The Minister for Finance, the Minister for Energy, and the I think Attorney General. Okay, these were very critical for us to stabilize the country as at that time. And the choice the president made spoke volumes of his vision and commitment to getting this country to reset and rebuild.
Right.
And you could see Honorable Atu Ba KCL Atu Ba Forsen.
Right.
I mean, this is a man who not just for his qualifications. I'm sure you know that he's a doctor of taxation and others. And as our people say, you don't show an indigent the way to his house. He is somebody who is conversant with the taxation system. This is a man who functioned as the ranking member on the Finance Committee of Parliament for 2 consecutive terms that were in opposition. And the MPP knows his mettle. In fact, at the level of the Finance Committee, when Atu Forsen gets up to talk about the issues, even those in government, they listen to him with rapt attention. So this is a man whose competence speaks volumes. A good thing sells itself. So you know that. And this is a man who had been in the finance ministry as a deputy minister of finance. Okay? So President Mahama chose him on the basis of his knowledge, expertise, hard work, competence. And the man who is has all the equipment to help revive the economy. And the signal that has gone into the international market has been significant. Honorable John Jinapo, the same thing, when he gets up even to talk about energy issues on the floor of Parliament. Justice, I can vouch for you, because they say that if the mad fish tell you the crocodile has belly ache, you must believe it. I have been in Parliament with him. And when John Jinapo gets up to speak, you cannot but respect and listen to it, because he talks fast. Okay? I can go on and go on. The Attorney General had been a deputy Attorney General, and everybody knows. Even many of the lawyers and others who sat on the appointments committee when he taught all of them. And not just a teacher, but by example, as Deputy Attorney General, he was very instrumental in crafting some of the legislation we had under President Mahama. Look at Honorable Eric Opoku, the Minister for Agric.
Right.
I call him a walking encyclopedia. Very, very brilliant guy by all standards, who has in-depth knowledge of the agricultural system. And Agric is going to perform a critical role in President Mahama's did to reset and rebuild Ghana. Because you see, Justice, if you get our agric system right, I can tell you that a lot of our problems, agric industry and our finances working together in harmony, I can tell you that we are going to go places. We'll be able to produce sufficient food,
right?
Bring down the food price index, bring down inflation, boost the agri-business we are talking about. Because under this one, you see that agri-business is part of the Ministry of Trade. That we are going to link agriculture with industry,
right,
and ensure that we give added value to our products and more. These are things that can help bring down our inflation, our cost of living in terms of food prices, and more importantly, protect the value of the city.
Right.
I'm sure you see that a lot of the pressure on the city is because of the massive imports that we are doing, excessive imports of things that we can grow here. Tomatoes. We are spending hundreds of millions, about 200, 300 million to import tomatoes, onions, rice, which we can grow here. I tell you that the North, when we were young people, attending secondary school, when we came from secondary school, you will go and work in the rice fields to get money to go back to school. Okay? And the North was the granary that only not fed the country. But our neighboring countries were importing rice from Ghana.
There's no doubt about the track record and the capabilities of persons appointed.
Yes.
But there's another school of thought that says that President John Dramani Mahama should apologize to the good people of Ghana and appoint more than 60 ministers, because that school of thought thinks that 60 ministers are not enough to steer the affairs of this country. Your position on that matter?
I respectfully disagree. Why should the president start?
The minority leader, Afro Markin, espoused
politically, of course, that is a trap by the opposition.
A trap?
Yes.
How is it a trap?
They want to set the tone that even before President Mahama has reached even 1 year, he has started apologizing to the people of Ghana. He has started breaking his word. And just as I say, it's a covenant. When you make a covenant with the people, that when you come to power, this is what you want to do.
Right.
You must respect the people. And President Mahama has self-noticed that he intends to respect the people to as much as possible to the latter. So I am of the school that President Mahama has already spoken, has indicated his resolve to abide by the promises that he's giving, including the number 60. And he is very confident that even with the 60, if our ministers, and that's why in the swearing in that he did for those ministers that have already been passed by Parliament, he served them notice that this is the time for hard work, and it is not a cheap party. Anybody who is not willing to do that hard work must quit even before he swore you in.
So,
the capacity for hard work and humility, the president has made it abundantly clear to all his appointees.
Let's look at this scenario.
Yes.
A ministry without a deputy minister, how effective would that ministry be?
No, where I want to say without any out of doubt, and President Mahama has not said he's not giving any ministry any deputy.
But we are talking about we have reduced our ministries to
where it is absolutely necessary, the quantum of hard work, President Mahama will give deputies where they are necessary. I want to believe that. So those ministries that are going to give...
If we should go by the appointments he's making, and the figure that he is giving before his election to power, what it means is that some ministries will not get them.
Sure. And that is what I'm saying that, those ministries that he thinks critically do require deputy ministers as much as possible. I can say maybe in 1 or 2 instances, you may not get the best. But I am saying that justice, underpinning that is a necessity to send that word first, that this country needs a leaner government. In some of these advanced countries that we are struggling to eliminate, do they have deputy ministers? China has 22 ministers. Look at China with a population of 1.3 billion. They can operate with 22 ministers. Okay? In the US, how many ministers do they have? They call them secretaries of state. Okay? Similar.
Right.
Or less. Okay? So I am saying that President Mahama is setting the tone.
So you think that President Mahama has not made a mistake by promising to appoint just 60 ministers?
Look, if you want to satisfy our political egos and our political ethos as a political party, you want to do what Nana Akufo-Addo did: create 127 ministers and give as many of your party people positions as you can. But is that in the best interest of Ghana today, where we stand?
What's the motive
operating the economy that we are operating today?
What's the motive behind your 60 ministers?
I'm saying that justice. It is the times. There is a saying that in our Dagbani language, that is the dog of the era that successfully can hunt the rabbit of the era.
Okay.
Today, as we speak, justice, our economy is in the doldrums. I'm sure you agree with me.
Very well.
Okay. So how can you call for austerity and be operating an expensive, as our people say locally, an obolo government? You cannot. Government must set that example. And this is the vision of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama.
Right.
So difficult as it may be, unpleasant as it may sound, it will have been very pleasurable justice to say he can even have 130 ministers, so that he can appoint so many people to so many positions and satisfy the party feelings. Yes, but the demand of our times brings forward a leader who must answer to the times, and these are times of austerity. You have to live that austerity. You have to walk the talk of austerity. You don't promise that austerity and come and practice affluence and a very expansive government. That is not the way. And so President Mahama, in his wisdom, thinks that he can make do with 60 ministers. Some of them having deputies, some may not have. For instance, they are no longer deputy regional ministers. I'm sure you are aware that that has already gone. In the mainstream ministries, I think overwhelming majority of them will get deputy ministers, and maybe in one or two cases even 2 deputy ministers. If you are talking about agri or finance or something. But I'm sure that even in those aware of the decision, he can get a very competent deputy to do the work of 2 deputies. And that is why he mentioned clearly to his appointees that this is the time for sacrifice and hard work. So if you are not prepared to do that sacrifice and the hard work, live up to the tenets and the calling of that sacrifice and hard work, please, you should get up even before you are sworn in. And that is what is made it very clear. And I want to believe that all the appointees, competent as they are, hardworking as some of them have already shown they are. And I can tell you that I know Atu Fosun is a workaholic. Erego Poku is a workaholic. The same as John Jidapo. I can mention many of them. And so they will bring those attributes to bear on their work. And I want to believe that by the grace of Allah Almighty, they will deliver, and Ghana will be a better place tomorrow for all of us than we have met. And so I have no doubt in my mind that the times have not lost on any of the appointees of His Excellency the President. They are all aware of the times, and they will endeavor to put in the requisite level of competence and hard work that is needed to rescue our country from the doldrums.
Now let's look at the appointments made. I mean, President Mahama is one person we know would want to champion gender balance. For that reason, he's obviously the first person to have a major political party or a political leader who chose a woman to partner him in
exactly so.
And now we have, first time in the history of Ghana, we have a female vice president and stuff like that. So we know his track record when it comes to championing, gender balance and stuff like that. But 42 ministers out of 42, he has appointed just 7 females.
Yes,
that is not enough.
So, Justice, I'm saying that there's a whole world of difference between saying that somebody has not done anything and somebody has not done enough. I'm sure that those who are in a hurry to take President Mahama to the cleaners on this gender thing must not lose sight of the fact that he's the first president in the annals of our country's history to pick a woman. Just as we speak right now as we speak, Vice President Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman is the President of the Republic of Ghana. Alai?
Yes, she's the Vice President of the Republic.
Is the President. Okay. Is the acting President of the Republic. In fact, she's the President of the Republic of Ghana. As we speak now, she's acting as the President.
Very well.
Of course, many people have not heard that because it's not like those days when Nana Akufo-Addo would just make a copious announcement and say that the country is being handed over. But for the first time in the annals of our country's history, this one, many people have not noticed it. A woman is acting as the President of the Republic of Ghana. Unprecedented in the annals of our country's history. Okay? Right. So this is a feat no politician has accomplished until the advent of President Mahama and the government that he just formed. Okay? So yes, I will be the first to admit that we can make do with more female appointees to enhance our gender balance, the ethos that we are talking about. No argument about that.
Right.
And I am sure that in the 18 appointments that are still left, I want to believe that more women justices will be appointed to further show up the numbers. So let's wait until we get the full complement of President Mahama's government, his ministerial appointments, and then we can then make any decision. But I want to add that in making that assessment, please don't lose sight of the fact that the biggest appointment for women has been at the level of the vice president. That alone accounts for more than how many ministers can you accord to a vice president who even sometimes functions as a president. How many positions can you allot to that? So you can see that that is a substantial leap forward for our mothers and sisters in this country, and that already has served to energize the women that they can break the glass ceiling. It has sent a positive signal to our girl children and others that if they work hard, remain disciplined, and get focus on others, they can rise to even become leaders of this country tomorrow. And that for me is the most important lesson. The numbers, the increase in the numbers that we all expect notwithstanding, I still think that it is a very big leap, quantum leap, that we must not underestimate, even as we think we must call for more numbers of appointees of women at the level of ministerial appointment. Not only, let's not forget, if you go and see chief executives that have been appointed, a lot of them have been women.
We'll definitely come to that.
So let us not only look at appointment of ministers as the only basis for empowerment of women. Empowerment of women can come through the chief executive, and you can see that many women have been appointed as chief executives, CEOs of that have been announced so far, and still going. President Mahama has not even done.
I can talk of MFA Castle. I mean,
in fact, just I am saying, if you want
James,
to name, I can bet you may name up to 20 women.
And I know a lot of them who are
and the President Mahama hasn't even done 1/4 of the appointments yet. So you can be sure that many more women are still going to be appointed to positions of responsibility and trust in this country. And so that
I can tell you, my own
contribute.
boss, Amma Pratt, who has been appointed.
You can see that now the press secretary to the vice president is a lady. Many men would have thought that this is the preserve of men.
Yes.
Today it's now occupied by a woman. You get what I mean?
Very well.
Exactly. You see, and so you can even see that some of these appointments that are coming are being taken over. I just came in and I saw that Honorable Hanabisu,
yes,
has been made appointed as the acting Director General of the District Assembly Common Fund.
Yes.
You see, and so if you look at an array of them are coming up, so I'm sure that many more. There are still board of directors. The president, he has not even started appointing people for the various boards. Okay, many women are going to get appointed into those boards. Okay, the same as ambassadorial positions. So there are many more appointments that are yet to be done.
The reason why we are so serious on, gender balance is about the fact that women representation in politics is very low, and some of us believe that it is President John Dramani Mahama who can set that record by making sure that we appoint a lot more women to serve as, encouragement to other women who want to enter into politics and stuff like that. And so if we are calling on the president to make sure that more women are appointed, I think it's a call in the right direction.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying, that we have to make the distinction. The distinction between wanting more, where some would rather try to underestimate that and say, oh no, he has not achieved that gender balance.
But if you can call for more. If you are appointing ministers,
yes,
you are appointed 42 so far.
Yes,
and out of 42, you are appointed just 7 females. That is too small.
If you were looking at
35 men.
That's what I'm saying. That I am not one who would say, for instance, that you could not have done with more female appointments.
Right.
You could, but I'm saying that don't also lose sight of the fact that the very fact that for the first time you have a woman as a vice president,
right,
indicates to you the pedestal to which women have been elevated. Okay, and that could possibly tie in with the fact that that level of recognition of the role of women,
right,
is already on course. You can argue about the addition of numbers. I will not fault anybody, But don't underestimate what has been achieved with the elevation of women in our political terrain. And I want to say without any out of doubt.
With that one, we'll give it to President John Dramani Mahama.
Yes, so I'm sure that...
I mean, they're giving us the first female vice president.
Exactly so.
Now, let's delve into other appointments made. I'm talking about that of the CEOs and stuff like that. One place that is fraught with a lot of problems and stuff like that is NCA. I'm sure you had the issue with the NCA boss appointed. People are of the view that he was used by the previous government to close down some, pro-NDC stations and stuff like that. And so some grassroots or members of the NDC did not understand the reason why such a person would be the person to be appointed as the CEO for the same institution that, that closed down some of these stations and stuff like that. Your position on that? A similar thing has also happened at the Ghana Revenue Authority, where I'm told people are seriously kicking against the newly appointed GRA boss. Do you agree with party members who are espousing such views and stuff like that?
Yeah, Justice. This is a very dicey issue. If you want to be very frank in that discussion.
Okay.
For many of the grassroots, their assessment is who they see along the political plane coming out in the struggle for the emancipation of this country in the last elections that we went through. And so for many of them, if they don't just see you on the political plane or don't even hear that you are part of the people who fought fiercely to get the NDC to win this last election, you have no business coming closer to any sentence of appointment.
Are their assertions right?
That's what I'm saying, that what they see from their perspective is what they think you are not. And just let me shed some light on this NCA thing, because for 2 terms, I have been the ranking member for communications in Parliament. And when this matter came up, myself and my deputy, and let me take the opportunity of this. I have congratulated him, but let me take the opportunity of this platform to congratulate my deputy, Honorable Sam George. He has been my deputy for the last 4 years. The first one was Honorable Ashaman, and he took over the last 4 years. And we had excellent working relationship. And this closure of radio stations, Justice, was one of the things we in the committee took very seriously. And I can tell you without any out of that, it was largely as a result of the committee's work that we got the minister, the director general of the NCA, and the retinue of the staff, including the current appointee, Mr. Fianku, to appear before the committee on this matter. And I'm sure that if you have the opportunity to talk to Mr. Eric Ayanyo, who stood in for Radio Gold and other of the closed radio stations, he will tell you what this committee did to get them. And unfortunately, at that time, because he was the director of engineering, he signed some of the people who say very draconian measures that resulted in the closure of the radio stations. And so, rightly, there are some people who look at that and they get very angry. And they tell you that, so why is this man who took part in the closure of our radio stations?
I can tell you
I'm coming.
Some of my colleagues at Radio Good are not really happy about this.
Yes, I know. That's why I say I can appreciate their depth of feeling about how this thing might arise, where somebody who seems to have closed their radio station is given that highest appointment at the NCA. They can look at it. But just there are also some unseen developments on our political plane. Justice, somebody can be seen to be playing a role overtly, but covertly in our politics. He may be playing some other roles at the ground which are unknown to you. It's the same way they have mentioned about this appointment at the GRA. Because there were some who said, this man was an NPP man. We never know him to have been doing anything. But certain interactions that happen at the level of the leadership, you may not be aware. People can make substantial contributions behind the backs of party food soldiers and party apparatchiks and others, and they will not know. I am not justifying why something should be so or should not be so, but I'm just laying down the main issues involved in our politics. That you can have somebody who on the face may be doing this, but in another vein may be doing something covert in support of your opposition when you are in opposition.
Right.
And that can contribute to helping you to come to power. And so, on coming to power, the leadership that is privy to what contributions people have made may, on the strength of that contribution, want to stand on it and
they should, what is preventing them to come and tell the grassroots that this is
that's what I'm saying, that
contributions that people have made towards
there are things that are unsaid in politics. You don't say everything. So their contributions
cannot be said.
There are certain things that remain confidential in the privy of the top echelons of the party.
Especially when these people are identified to be people.
That is why I'm saying, Justice. I'm saying that
caused, some troubles or problems for the National Democratic Congress.
For the rank and file, they may be justified in saying what they are saying. I will not condemn anybody for saying so who, on the strength of these developments, was pained by what happened. But I'm just saying that at the level of the leadership, they may have been having some different interactions and others that also contributed to the progress and the success of the party.
Right.
Okay? Look, Justice, somebody can be there and he will volunteer and give you some information. This one, I'm not even talking, there can be financial contributions, which are okay. But beyond that, there can even be volunteer of information, very critical information.
Okay.
That is crucial to your success. You will not, this information will not be made available to the grassroots. Okay? So, at the end of the day, it is the leadership sitting where they sit that have a best eye view over the entirety of the political landscape. And so, making decisions, they may be privileged to come across information you and I don't know.
Okay.
But you and I, like I said, we knowing what we know, are right in demanding what we are demanding, because that is what we know. And so nobody should begrudge us if this is the information that we have, and we are acting based on the information that we have. Because nobody has come to tell us that, oh, this man was doing this. And that is the difficulty for the political leadership. Because you cannot come out and say publicly that this is what this man was doing for us. You can't say that. That would be political ineptitude. It's like a journalist. You go. I mean, you and I, I've been journalists for practice for over 30 years.
Yes.
I know. And you know that one of our critical ethical principles is not to disclose our sources.
True.
A lie?
Yeah.
So why will you go and give out your source? If you go and give out your source, you are not worthy of your source. No source will then see you as trustworthy enough to give you information.
Yeah.
So that is the actually seal of the political establishment. Leaders, some of them, knowing what they know, find it extremely difficult to come out and divulge that information.
We have just 2 minutes to go.
Really?
Our time is already up. But your expectations from all persons who have been appointed so far, we are as well waiting for your appointment, actually.
Justice, I think that, first and foremost, I am a Muslim. I've always said that Allah Almighty, in His infinite wisdom, has decided where you go.
Right.
So when the time comes, you will go there. And so I want to appeal to the overwhelming majority of our members in the NDC. I know that the tension and the clamor is building up because of these appointments. People must exercise a lot of patience.
Right.
And like I said, there are still hundreds of appointments that the president has not yet touched. So let's be patient. If he is wisdom at the end of the day, you don't even get anything. I am sure that within the system that he has put in place, we have comrades and colleagues and others who more or less are working together to ensure that the system is fair to all of us, and all of us can have an opportunity to live a better life than we lived under the NDC. So I want to make that fervent appeal. That my other appeal is that, look, just we should even go beyond. There are some important centers of our politics that not only contributed to our success, but they have a very important stakeholding. Some of the other opposition parties, I'm talking about the PNC, okay, they rallied solidly behind us with their leadership. Okay, they could have gone the other way, but they came and contributed. The Afrafranto movement, my brother Kwame and his people, they have beautiful ideas that they can bring on board and contribute to the success that President Mahama is doing. President Mahama is looking to revamp the fortunes of this country. And I know that by the grace of Allah Almighty, he has the vision, the commitment, the competence, the wherewithal to get it on board. So if there are talents that he can tap outside our mainstream system to contribute to the success that he's looking for, I'm sure that he should take advantage of it. And I'm not sure NDC people will be against that, to find some arrangement that all of us can do. But beyond that, I want to appeal to all appointees.
Right, our time is up.
Yes, taking this position is a privilege. Nobody has a bona fide right to be appointed as a minister or an ambassador or any other thing. It's a rare privilege accorded to you by Allah Almighty and President Mahama. So you cannot afford to fail him, to use those positions for your personal political aggrandizement. We must show at all material times that the NDC is not only superior in ideas and commitment and nationalism, but that we have a capacity to live with the humility that President Mahama and our founders, President Jerry John Rawlings, President Atta Mills, before us, have left that mark of patriotism and nationalism. We must endeavor to live up to those attributes and show to Ghanaian people that, after all, the NDC is far, far superior and better than the NPP. So that in subsequent elections that are coming, that mandate will continue to be renewed for the NDC to serve Ghana better than we have envisaged.
Thank you so much, Honorable, for coming. I'm so grateful for your time. That was Honorable Alhjia A.B.A. Fuseini, former Member of Parliament for Sagnarigu constituency. We are still waiting for his appointment anyway.
Thank you for staying tuned. PENDREAM TV really appreciate your time on the channel once again. And I said, God bless you for the wonderful work you are doing. Much more are coming your way. Please do stay tuned.
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Na so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.